Hello, good evening. Welcome to the Spurs review. What a time to be a Spurs fan. What a time to be alive. And what a wonderful start to 2023. If anyone had any alcohol promises for the New Year's resolutions, I'm sure that that's all gone already. Chocolate, eating badly, whatever it is, Spurs will drive you to it. I'll start today with Carl. You haven't been on with me for ages. How are you, sir?
Yeah, good. Thanks, mate. Well, I was this morning and this afternoon. It slowly sank downhill as the game went on. So maybe we use this as a therapy session and try and get the new year back up and running again.
That's all it is, mate. Therapy. My missus thinks I'm having an affair because I'm always having therapy sessions online with hundreds of men. Read into that what you will. Pete from North London is, how are you, sir? Lovely, lovely beard you're attempting to grow.
Yeah, fucking hell. I'm all right, mate. I can't say I'm disappointed because everything that happened is what I expected to happen.
Yeah,
Started off the New Year's, we finished the last, so no shocks there.
absolutely. And the guy with a new year, new haircut, new mindset. New mindset. He's just been telling us. How are you, Coover?
I've made New Year's resolutions. I'm going to try not to get too wound up by other fans and not make it a personal thing. Just keep it focused on New Year in, Levy out.
Yeah.
Nothing else matters to me. I don't even care about the manager discussions anymore. Just the owners out. Nothing changes till that happens.
Well, I'm afraid you're going to have some sort of Conte discussion tonight, I'm afraid. I don't believe we can go a whole stream without
I'll
Conte.
sit here and read, mate.
Okay, you sit there and read, but thanks for joining. Guys, I'm going to bring up the Spurs 11 that started today. And I want you guys to tell me, is this 11 good enough to beat the Aston Villa 11 that was put out today? Considering you had Ollie Watkins, who scored 3 goals all season, Bailey, who's in and out the team and's not really ever done a lot. You've got Ashley Young, who's 37. Konza and Mings, meh. Martinez wasn't even in goal. Is this 11, boys? I'll start with you, Cole. Is this good enough to be beating Aston Villa at home?
Oh, 100%, mate. I mean, the only absentee from there that you would have put in was Kulu. That was obviously a massive loss before the game. But you look at that side and look at who you're coming up and facing and their record this season at home, you would have felt confident going in, or should have felt confident going in, that is a side that has got enough about it to see Aston Villa off at home. Right. There was no doubt in my mind before the game. I was thinking, yeah, we'll probably pick up a win here. Yes, it won't be emphatic and it won't be pretty, but we'll get the win over the line somehow. But yeah, what unfolded, you just couldn't believe your eyes. Well, you could in some ways, but you couldn't believe that side played as poorly as it did today.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the thing, isn't it, Pete? Listen, we'll start calmly, and by about 8 minutes in, I'm sure we'll all be really angry and wanting everyone in the world out, and everyone's horrible and everyone's to blame. But let's call it for what it is, Pete. I'm all for the owners being at fault for the club as a whole, but where I think the Levy and ENIC out movement loses momentum is where people blame them for games like that. Do you think that there was just a complete lack of plan, intensity, rhythm, collaboration, whatever buzzword you want to put in? What do you make of it, Pete?
I think you can blame the owners for the lack of options he had, but you can't. But Conte has to take the blame for the performance, and that's the end of the day. That as you said, that 11 is more than enough to beat an average Aston Villa side at home. Right. Remember, we're at home, but we've lost the last three out of 4 at home as well after today, which I didn't realise until I heard it earlier.
Yeah.
But no, we can't keep. But listen, we all know where we stand on the owners and all that, but you can't blame them for performances. For me, well, you maybe can in a way, but for me, this is a direct thing of players who are unhappy playing in a system for a manager that is unhappy at the club and is basically winning his time out. That is when you got all that going on. it always translates onto the pitch. If you've got chaos behind the scenes where nothing is joined up, nothing is aligned, all carnage waiting to happen, it will translate on the pitch. We saw it with Chelsea last year. I mean, what the hell does Roman Abramovich have to do with what goes on the pitch? It filtered its way down during that season. And we've been here how many times where you just know it's when all shit's going on down behind the scenes, it works around the pitch. This has been, this result is nothing new. This performance is nothing new, but it's just a culmination of everything that's been happening during the season. We've been saying it for months now. The season started in August. If you keep playing poorly every week, I know we had our best start to the season and all that results wise, but eventually these performances will turn into poor results. It always does. When you're playing well and you don't get results, normally it turns itself around. But when you're playing that poor as we were, it was always going to be a time. And now it's just every week after week after week. Before it was just a half. Now we've transcended to the next level now where it's a whole 90 minutes.
Yeah.
There was no period in that game where we were good.
Absolutely. Well, I want to question that with Coover in 1 second. Just quickly, Azad, as always, a big contributor on the show. Thank you for your super chat. I said apparently Conte has resigned.
I'm checking that.
Listen, I don't know if he has. If he has, happy days. I don't care if he has. I'm very vocal about that. The circus will continue like it has for the last 40 odd years. So look, we'll see. I'm sure if that is true, news will filter.
Wait, you don't resign from 300 grand a week and when you don't have to do anything. He'll either see out his contract or get sacked and take the payoff. Who wouldn't? Spurs is an easy touch. It's the best place to get employed ever.
Just quickly, so I just wanted to find something to pick up. This one, from what Pete said, we've just had 90 minutes where we didn't show up, as opposed to the normal 45 we don't show up, Coover. But Antonio Conte has said about the performance, I'm not disappointed. I mean, he should have stopped there because that's a load of nonsense. I'm not disappointed because the performance was a good performance. From the start until the end, I've seen the right commitment, the right intensity, and the right desire. Coover, talk to me about the commitment, the intensity, and the desire of what you saw on that pitch today.
Trying to think of the right words. Team that doesn't give a shit started slowly, painfully slowly, pedestrian pace. Created virtually nothing, no ideas. One of the biggest cheers in the first half was when Brian Hill did a turn on the touchline and he got a massive roar from the crowd. And you looked at it and realised he hasn't even beaten his player. That's how bad the football is, that the turn alone gets a roar with nothing after it. It's amazing. We're so starved of decent football now. It's breakaway goals and occasional sling the hopeful ball into the box or set piece or something to get on the end of it. We didn't even manage that today. We're talking for a long time now about this level of football. We can't play football like this and win. It's not sustainable. We're seeing it regularly now that it's not. So, since coming back from the World Cup, concede 2 before playing against Brentford, snatch a draw, concede 2 against Villa, nowhere near a draw. This is piss poor. This is poor as it gets. There's no excuse for this. And I'm going along the same lines. You can't blame this just on Levy, but he does take a big part of it because this sort of crap is not built overnight. This is a long-term process that's happened, got us in this state where we probably need like 12 players just to get into a state where we can buy those 2 players a season to push the club forward. We're nowhere near. We're not getting any nearer. By the time, the rate at which we're rebuilding, that funny little phrase we have, rebuilding, it's going so slowly that some of our established stars that are any good will be retiring or moving on. Right. So it's a never-ending cycle of rebuild. It's absolutely pathetic. If you want to own a football club, an elite club like we should be, if you want to come in and buy that club, you should be pumping some of your own money into it in the chase for trophies. If you're buying it just as a business thing, you should expect anger from fans. because this club is the fans. Enoch can go tomorrow. The ground can go tomorrow. The club still lives on. The fans live on. If we have to play on the bloody marshes and put down some jumpers, there will still be a crowd there. You still get the name. If the name Tottenham's there, people will still come. It will rebuild. Enoch and nothing. They're just this custodian we have. Well, custodian's a bit rich, isn't it? It's more like a taskmaster or scoundrel. Anyway, so I did this game today. It was pathetic, absolutely pathetic. It's a disgrace to play like that. Yeah. Now, saying it's not just Levy, it's not. Conte's got to take some blame for that. Sure. If you're an elite manager and you have those players at your disposal, why is it they don't start for 10 games in a row? They're conceding goals. Surely you can do something to fix that. Surely you can do something different, change it around. Nothing happens. Then, it's because Dyer's so shit. Drop Dyer, same thing. Doesn't matter.
See, what I found interesting about that today, and I'll finish this off with you, Kevin, and then I'll come to you, Cole, was I always hear that it's because of our terrible defence why we can't play any decent football. Now, I agree to an extent, but in a game like today where Aston Villa didn't actually have a lot of the ball, Coover, right? I believe they had something like 40%. So in a game, big up Bob, I'll come to you in a second. In a game where we've had 60% of the ball, can we then turn around and go, it's our defence why we're not playing well again? You've got Højbjerg and Basuma in the midfield, experienced Premier League midfielders. You've got Kane, Son, Perisic, who's just had a great World Cup, Romero, who's won it, Longley, who's played for Barcelona and Seville. I can't understand how the performance is that bad, Coover. I understand we're not in form, but that was shocking.
I agree. You look at Harry Kane alone. If you got him in your team and it takes 20 minutes before he can get a touch of the ball, and even that is because he has to come back and have it into his feet and get fouled to win a free kick. That's the intent of the team, is sit back and be reactive instead of proactive. We don't take the game to the teams. I think if I was managing that team, I've got Harry Kane, Heung-min Son, Perisic on the pitch. I'd be trying to get the ball forward as much as possible. I wouldn't be sitting back, letting the other team attack and then hope to get them on a counter. There is talent in the front of our team. If there isn't at the back, why keep the ball there?
No, absolutely. I mean, Bob, I'll come to you in a minute. Just before I do, Carl's been waiting patiently. Carl, from your point of view, and we haven't had too many discussions about this, so I don't know where you're at with this, but our playing style, it seems that towards the back end of last year, we had quite a lot of games where it was actually enjoyable to watch. We've strengthened to a degree since then, but why is the football so different now to the football we saw that got us that really good run to make top four? Why is it completely dropped off a cliff?
I guess the only thing you can think was different this year is Conte's obviously had the full season to try and build what he wants to this year, whereas last year it was coming in and it was a race for top four, wasn't it? So ultimately you had to go and try and win games and get the points that got you in the top four because that race was so tight. Whereas this year, I think maybe Conte's come in and wants to try and build. And you can see we're just a lot more cautious. It's almost like, listen, let's just try not to concede, which is great if you're a team that's got a solid defensive unit that you can do that with. But when you're a side that, are as weak as a chocolate teapot at the back, then you can't do that. We know when you look at our front line, our best form of defence is attack. Right. But Conte doesn't seem to want to use that. It doesn't matter. I had this discussion earlier on today. It doesn't matter which of our defenders you put out. They're all liable to make mistakes and cost us game, even the goalkeeper. So don't keep playing. What annoys me with Conte is we're still playing the same system in the same way. And he can see it isn't working. I don't have the players to play this way. So change it. Earn some of that money because you're supposedly one of the world's best managers. Well, prove that. Do what a top manager would do. Okay, what I want to do isn't working because I don't have the players to do this. I now need to find another system that does work. Where are my strengths? My strengths are up front. My strengths are my forward players and my attacking unit. Right. I need to have a system that utilises them the most and puts us on the front foot the most. Where am I weakest? Defence. So it makes no sense to try and sit back and soak up pressure because it's not working. And it also doesn't work when teams have sussed you out. Teams know, don't play a high line against Spurs because they'll kill you. Harry Kane to Son will kill you over the top. So just sit back because they can't break you down. This is a team that doesn't have the creativity or the players to break you down if you're sitting and camping deep. And once you do that, Spurs are stumped. They'll just pass it sideways, backwards. But Conte isn't reacting to this and thinking, I need to change something. And like as you said earlier, we can blame the board for lots of things, and ultimately it starts from the top and goes down. But today's performance starts from the manager setting out his game plan and the intensity that he wants his team to play with. And clearly, Conte isn't getting the best out of these players. And as we've said today, when you look at it, yes, we haven't got the squad that's going to go and match Man City or Liverpool at the moment, or, you know, those teams. But we've got a squad that can go and give Villa a game and go and put pressure on Aston Villa. So, yeah, like I say, Conte doesn't walk out of this with no blame at all, in my opinion. You know, this is a manager that's sitting on his hands and not reacting, and questions have got to be asked about what is he actually doing on the training pitch with these players.
No, absolutely. I mean, Bob, look, let me come to you on this. Big up to yourself. I'm betting you wish you were in a coma for this. This is Tottenham, isn't it? This is, when you're a Spurs fan, this is not new. This isn't shocking. This isn't, this isn't like, oh my God, I can't believe we find ourselves in this mess. This has been brewing for a while, right? But can you see any way, Bob, in which we come out of this without a managerial change? I'll call it for what it is, whether you love Conte or not. Can you see us coming through this with Conte as manager and all is well?
Yeah, first of all, Coover, thank fuck you've had a haircut. Secondly,
just modelling my hero.
That's it, yeah.
Levy.
Levy, yeah. I thought I'd never say this, Sav, but I wish I was a bit like you, a bit more like you. I can't differentiate, man.
Hang on.
Me, yeah.
Say something else nice. Go on, keep going.
Say something about his hair.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Lovely guy.
Sav, I can't differentiate, man. To me, everything goes back to Levy. Even Conte. I'm not going to sit here and blame Conte. I feel embarrassed judging a winner, a serial winner, and asking him what the fuck he's doing on the training pitch with these players. You're in charge of a business, Sav. You know the main focus in a business is to keep the people who work for you around you happy. I work in a sales team. A sales team needs to be happy. If he's not enjoying his time at Spurs, and the reason being we all know why, then it's going to have an adverse effect throughout everything. It's like mold; it grows throughout the team, and that's a reason why, regardless of what Poch did towards the end, when he came in, he did spread his spread his love throughout the club and change the mentality. I can't differentiate stuff. I can't sit here and say Conte needs to take some of the blame for it, because I can't see it that way. For me, he is one of the best out there. Yes, he probably went above and beyond last season, and the fact that the teams around him were doing so shit had a lot to do with it, if anything, everything to do with it. But we had to be there to take advantage, and we did. This season, who are we to judge? How dare we judge this winner, who we thought when he was going to come in, is going to win us trophies? And I said this when he was appointed, the only reason Conte comes to this football club and doesn't win anything is because of those fuckers, Lenik. And that's the way it's looking. Little tactical thing. No one's perfect. Hey, Pep got it in the neck in the final against Chelsea when he tried to be too clever and lost the Champions League final. Of course he's going to be there to make mistakes. But for us to sit here, or me personally, sorry, not for everyone else, for me to sit here and say Conte's the reason why everything's such a shit show, and Conte only, and he's got a lot to answer for. He's got a bit to answer for me. But for me, I can't sway away from the fact that it's Leanick, and nothing else.
For sure. I mean, look, let me put this another way to you then, Brian, and big up yourself. For me, okay, are we seeing then an Antonio Conte that just doesn't care anymore? Because for me, he looks like, when you're in a relationship and it's coming to an end, and you see it on the other person's face, but you're too scared to approach the situation. I feel like we're there with him. I feel like he doesn't care what's happening now, with good reason. But for me, I've said it all along, Brian. I just feel right now the best thing is this is not working for either party, and I would love him to walk, because I think, Brian, and I know this is a bit backwards, I think the best thing he can ever do as Spurs manager in his tenure as a Spurs boss is to walk and show these owners up. I think he can do more doing that than he ever can success on the pitch.
Yeah. So first of all, I think he's gone within 24 hours. Mm-hmm. I really do. I think he has gone within 24 hours. I was hearing from multiple people whilst we're doing We Are Tottenham TV, the fan show. First of all, I didn't start listening to it, but then I started to. He's had a huge, apparently Kane has gone berserk in the dressing room. Conte has gone absolutely apoplectic, saying, I want players. If you don't, I am walking. Listen, Antonio Conte has been well and truly levied. Again, managers, when will people understand this? I have been saying this for 15 long years. 15. And I call it. Bob will know and be able to verify this since I've known him for most of the time. This is going to happen. This is going to happen. This is going to happen. What happens? It happens. It happens. It happens. Brian, you're negative. Brian, you're toxic. Brian, you're this. I'm not negative. I'm not toxic. I'm just fluent and have a doctorate in Levy bullshit, in Levy signs and what he does. I can categorically tell you what this man is going to do, or more to the point, what he's not going to do. And here we are now. We've come back from the World Cup. By the way, let's just say you can't sign players on match day. Chelsea have just done it again by signing that Monaco defender. But you can't do that. You can't buy it. The window's just open. I will remember, I think, Bob, you'll remember, when we lost 4-0 to Fulham in the FA Cup. We lost 4-0 battered by Fulham in the FA Cup. It was on day before deadline day. Yeah. All of a sudden, we put bids in for Sergio Aguero, who was at Atletico Madrid, Giuseppe Rossi, who was at, can't remember the team he was in Spain, Andy Carroll, and there was another striker, I can't remember. All wildly below market value. If there aren't official bids for defenders, Porro's release fee matched. Defenders matched. The hell with this club. The hell with this club. Because we don't know what we're doing. Keith Birkinshaw said there used to be a football club there. He's a visionary. He's a visionary. Because we're done. We are absolutely done. It doesn't matter what manager comes in. It doesn't matter what director of football comes in. It doesn't matter what style of play, because we're changing when we sat the next manager. Doesn't matter what director of football.
Save some of your rant for later in the show.
Oh, mate, I can't, mate. I am so raging and fuming. And do you know what it was? And I was saying it on We Are Tottenham TV. Everyone that calls me positive and negative and says I'm a small. What was there exactly to be positive about there? That Romero played well for 45 minutes. Yeah. That Brian Hill got his chance. That we didn't concede in the first goal.
Ended.
This club is a fucking joke.
Okay.
Is a joke.
All right, let me.
Happy New Year, mate. Happy New Year.
Wind him up.
Happy New Year, everyone. Happy New Year. Just quickly, there's 469 of you in the chat, so big up to each one of you. Please like, please subscribe. Please subscribe to all of these average-looking human beings in here. If they've got a channel, you've got Bob Spur TV, Tottenham on Tour, Free Spurs Boys, Coover the Kang. You've got North Londoners and Carl. I think you've stopped yours now, right? Is that right?
Yeah, Coys.com. Yeah, we might come back. This might tempt us to come back, or what's going on at the moment.
You've got to, mate. You've got to. Look, Pete. Let me start with you. We'll go around just really, really quickly with this. Pete, I'm not Nostradamus, right, or Savradamus. But about a year ago, I turned around and I said, I can only see one thing happening, I can see Conte falling out with the board, not getting what he wants, either walking or being pushed, and Poch back in. Now, it's not what I wanted, but that's what I said I could see. How close am I to being right? I do like being right, but how close are we to seeing Poch back? And how much will that appease a lot of this fan base? I'm not saying me, but it will appease some of the fan base.
I think it's a matter of time, isn't it? It's a question of when, not if. It's coming. It's coming. I mean, for me, Conte is sort of picking fights with the owners without directly doing it. I think we're going to find, once this is all said and done, he's probably going to be the most important manager we've had in recent time. And not because anything on the pitch.
Yeah.
Because the things he's saying now, and fans need to sort of wake up and listen to what he's saying. The statement the other day when he was interviewed on, well, I don't know, whatever it was, saying, we can buy, ideally we'd like to buy ready-made players who are going to come and help us compete for trophies. But that's not the club's vision. Said it himself. The stuff he's saying today about on the Sky Sports interview about getting in established players, getting a strong squad foundation, but that is not what the club want to do. How much more do fans want to hear him say it? He's the reason why he's saying it is because there's no gagging clause coming up for him. He could probably the first manager that actually sees out a contract, because normally Levy gives them a tin tack before, signs a gagging clause or whatever, so they can't say nothing, and because they've got a payout to protect. He's got no payout to protect. He's payout his pants now.
I reckon they have to sign it before they sign in the first place, mate.
Probably. What I'm saying is, once his contract's over, it's immaterial now, isn't it? He's going to see it out, or if he goes, he ain't going to be worried about a payout. But the fact that he's not got nothing really to protect in terms of a sacking payout, it seems to me that he's going, well, I'm going to say what I need to say. And I think as fans, especially the ones who don't believe that everything we've been saying when we're negative and this, that, and the other, he is saying what we've been saying is coming from the manager. What more do fans want to hear from that man? He's saying that. Do you know what I mean? I mean, that ain't a wake-up call to half the fan base who believe that there's gold at the end of the Enoch rainbow, but never actually get on it. I don't get what more it's going to take for the fan base to start sort of turning against these owners, because there's no excuse for what they're doing. Like, he is coming out now and saying exactly what we've been waiting for someone to come out and say. We never actually get it. Now he is saying it. He's saying what the club's vision is. We don't hear what their vision is, because the club never speak to the fans. He's turning around and saying, look, this is what I would like to do. And then there's what the club want to do. And they're poles apart.
I think the thing that's really significant there is a few days ago he was quoted as saying, "I'm not allowed to," or along the lines of, "I'm not allowed to say what what I think the club needs to do. I think it'll be incorrect for me to do something along those lines."
Yeah, I can't speak about this. I cannot speak about this. That's the normal one we get out.
He's not Scottish.
He's clearly now saying stuff.
Exactly. He's gone from saying, "I can't say what it is that I want. I can tell you what the club wants," and now he's saying something that sounds very much like what he would want, which means he doesn't give a shit about what he says now. It's over.
Goof,
I think Brian's right.
I don't understand why you'd bring in a serial winner. Well, I do understand, fucking Levy, but it's beyond me you'd bring in a born winner, serial winner, and not once he's allowed to put across his vision, just the club's vision.
I do think I agree with Bob there. The biggest problem we've got there is if you're going to bring in someone like Antonio Conte, then you have to give the guy what he wants and work with how he works. And he doesn't work with bringing in young players and prospects. He works with bringing in ready-made players who can do a job he wants to do. And that's where you sit there and go, the club vision is all wrong, isn't it? Because, if you're going to bring in the likes of Jose or Conte, they work with proven players now, not young players. If you want to carry on down that route of young players, bring in a manager who works with them.
But Carl, this is why I've said
I just want to very quickly say I've got a few people saying, Brian, I thought you were sober. I am. It's 0% alcohol beer. Believe me, Levy will not turn me. It is alcohol free. Rest assured, I am still sober.
Just before I make that point, I should just quickly do some super chats. Christopher B Thank you very much. I said when Conte leaves, he'll win trophies elsewhere. Of
100%.
course, of course. George Raffis, big up to yourself, George. Long time no speak. Said today was one of the worst performances. Sorry, Levy out, Conte out, everyone out. A complete overhaul is needed. Good to see chance of Levy out. I agree with this, George, and we're going to talk about this in a minute. John Wick, we will talk about Hugo. Don't worry about that. Mark Cousins said he's magic, though, talking about the one and only Mauricio Pochettino and Wolves Finland, just being kind and generous. Thank you very much. Guys, the thing for me is, I said earlier, I went on to Henry's show, and I think a few people in the chat won't understand what I was saying. I think we've got to the point now where Conte's giving out the same little riddles that Poch did towards the end, that Jose did towards the end, where it's the riddles of, we know what you're saying, you just won't say it in layman's terms. We know where this is heading, guys. It doesn't matter if you like Conte or not. We know this ends with him not being at the club. For me, what I've said, and what I want us to discuss it here is, I truly believe that the whole thing needs to be reset. And the club needs to acknowledge that we're nowhere near winning trophies right now. We're not going to be for the next few years. And for me, we need the owners to sell, the new owners to come in, bring in a new director of football, a new manager, a new head of academy, a new head of scouting, and they all start on absolutely the same page and the same vision for the next 15, 20, 30 years. That this is what we want Tottenham to be. This is going to be our style of play from the under sevens through to the first team. The scouts and the director of football know that when they go and scout a player, they must be able to do X, Y, and Z for each position. As the players move through the age groups, they slot in like they do at Ajax, Barcelona, Man City now. For me, that's what needs to happen. Whether it can, I don't know. But let me start with you, Kuva. Are we at that stage now where I don't think there's a rock bottom to go to now? Like, people are saying, "Oh, well, what will that do for the next 5 years?" Well, what are we doing for the next 5 years anyway, Kuva? What are we doing?
You tell me. There's no plan at all. There's nothing you can point to. Even the things we're told the club is doing, like, sign young players, low wages. But we got Perisic, but we got Richarlison, but we got Bentancur. So that's not true. We're not going for the big name signings because we got Matassar, we got Jed Spence, we got a Dogie who's not even at the club. That whatever we're told, it's not that. Right. So I have no idea. But I'm with you, mate. This is one thing we've always been saying. There's so many of us believe in this as well. If the club just showed us a clear road forward to where we're going, what the plan is over the long term, not a short-term fix on changing a manager and saying, "Oh, we're just going to buy in for that person." Have a set way of playing. Have something you're recognised for worldwide, like we used to. We used to be renowned for a football inside, two-touch, passing, attacking football. It was the push and run style that we made popular in this country. We were the originators of it in this league. Everybody else is now basing their game upon that style. Even the Johan Cruyff, the total football stuff, the 3-7 formation, it's still based on that. It's the push and run. It's the thing made famous by the Hungarians with Puskás and the stuff in England at Wembley 6-3. Anyway, that's the history side of it. Well, I would love to see something like that in place at this club again, like it used to be. In the 80s, people used to say, "Yeah, Spurs, I don't think they're going to win the league, but you always put them down for a cup." There's none of that now. It's like, what's the identity of Spurs nowadays? What is the identity? Sack the manager. That's probably what we're known for. Sack the one manager and don't win anything. That's it. We're a banter club. Directionless banter club. I want to see something in place I can believe in. If it takes 5 years and they say we're going to be doing heavily investing in the youth academy, we're going to be getting in some of the best young players around, best coaches to work with those youngsters, and then have a management style that always fits in with that style of play, the passing, attacking football, and we're going to look to win things at it. That is our long-term plan for 10, 15 years' time. 5 years' time when you first start seeing it kick in and those youngsters start coming through into the first team. If they just did that, I could get behind that. If they said, oh, we're not going to go with the youth, we're going to concentrate on buying players in, then buy the players in.
Yeah.
The fact is, we're not doing one or the other. It's this mishmash in the middle of guesswork and chopping and changing. No management style is not going to be known in 2 years' time. Playing style won't be known. We won't know who's at the club. There's nothing. I believe in nothing except for Levy and ENIC want to make money off the club. That's the only thing that matters.
Let me ask, Bob. I mean, I know it's difficult, right? Because realistically, it can only happen, right, if ENIC actually turn around and go, "We are up for sale." Yeah. But where would you be with the ENIC and Levy argument, Bob, if they did turn around now and did this? If they did turn around and say, "Right, everybody, we're holding an open forum. This is what we are now doing moving forwards," so that the whole fan base has complete clarity. Would that change your mind on them, or has it been too long now?
It'd take a lot of convincing, actions speak louder than words are, but it is a case of, Levy change, ENIC change doesn't have the same sound to it as a Levy out. We want Levy out, ENIC out with the way they run the business, with the way they don't kick on. So, right. First and foremost, if there's a choice, I want them out. I want them gone. I'll take my chances with any other ownership. Yeah. You'd think someone with a bit of money coming into Spurs will see, with a bit of good business acumen, that the thing that needs improving first and foremost is the team, is the main product. So I'll take my chances on that. It's unrealistic as it is, Sav. I agree with you. A reset is needed, but we know how difficult that is, man. And so for me, I don't want to. I'd get rid of Levy and ENIC. I'd rather see ENIC go than Conte any day. We have not got another manager out there. I'll say it again. There is no better manager out there to come to Spurs and win us trophies, man. Make us successful. Conte's the only one who's going to do that. But he needs the right people above him to do that. I know there's a lot of, people are sitting there fucking jizz. I don't understand this jizz fest over Spence. I really don't get it. What the fuck has he done for everyone to say Spence is the next big? I know Emerson's shit.
Do you not think that's what it is, though, Bob? It's not that they know about Spence. It's that they know how bad Royal is, and they'd at least like to see.
I get stuff, but it's a whole. Conte's too stubborn to play. Listen. I'm sorry, maybe I'm a bit wrong here, but for a serial winner who will win at any cost, wants to win every single game in the Premier League, for him to not play Spence because of a message to the board because it's too stubborn. If playing Spence gives him more of a chance of winning a football game, he will play him. Maybe the simple fact is Spence is just fucking shit. Maybe that's the reality. Maybe he's just not good enough.
I'll tell you what else is a reality, Bob, that there are 565 people in. This is my highest ever, and only 125 likes. Guys and girls, that is as tight as Daniel Levy's wallet. Come on, smash the like button, subscribe to everyone that's here.
Hashtag back Sava. Yeah,
hashtag Sava for owner of Hotspur Football Club. Carl, look, if Conte does go, and I think all roads are pointing there, right? Whether or not we like him or not, I think all roads now, we get that feeling in our stomach that Pete Coover and I have talked about lately, that as a Spurs fan what's happening, right? You know what's happening. You know what's coming. Where do we go from there? What can we expect? Because like Bob said, you're not getting another. You've had Jose. We didn't want to back him. You've had Conte. We don't want to back him. What's the plan? Where do we go from there, Carl, in terms of manager appointments?
Well, I think the obvious one, and it's like, as we've said, I think the plan all along from Levy and ENIC at some point is to bring Poch back, because that is your next safety net that gives you the start of the rebuild again. And be patient. We're going to try and, this is going to take a little while to go back. I think you'll have found the jobs that Poch has taken since then lead him back to Tottenham, knowing somewhere that he'll feel comfortable with and that's in his heart. But ultimately, it just leads us on the merry-go-round again, doesn't it? Because if it does buy Levy and co a little bit, you know, at least another couple of seasons, which it will, because there'll be a big enough element of the fan base that will be happy to see Poch back, see him home, and then there'll be enough of the fan base that will go, now we need to give Poch time to put his message across, get the players that he wants. But again, you're just starting at the bottom of the ladder again to go where we know where it's going to go, which is he won't get the investment, he won't get the players, but what it will allow the club to do is carry on buying young players the way they want to do business, you know, buying young, because now we know Poch doesn't mind working with those players. So ultimately, there isn't another top manager out there that you can see them going and getting out, you know, other than Poch coming in. It wouldn't surprise me, though, the way this club works. Southgate would be the man that someone that they'd go for. He would be Enoch's dream, wouldn't he?
Yeah,
Southgate, the biggest yes man you can imagine. But I ultimately think it will be Poch that they'll turn to try and save themselves and give themselves another couple of seasons.
I mean, Pete, Poch comes in, right? Poch is now the manager. You know, he's got Spence for the right wing back for next year. Dozi's coming back. You've got Brian Hill. You've got Skip, you've got Sarr. Is hiring Poch back just an absolute signal of we have zero ambition of winning trophies ever? Nothing against Poch, but I mean in terms of we've tried it with two serial winning managers. Now we're going to go back to where we were because it didn't work.
Yes and no. Personally, I think we haven't hired serial winning managers to try and be serial winners. We've hired the serial winning managers to just make the fans believe that's what they actually want, without actually behaving like serial winners as a club. So we've got Jose in. The best player he got was Højbjerg, and a half crook barrel that he didn't want. Look at the other side; he never got backed in any way the slightest. Fast forward to Conte, all the fans wet themselves, and he come in thinking, okay, this is going to be it. Then we get the big window we're supposed to have, the investment. Look where we are now. It's all the Poch thing will be is just another wool over the eyes to keep the fans quiet. It's like giving a kid a sweet. Oh, I'll give them something. That shut them up for half hour, and that's all it is. It's another illusion. We all these managers we get in, whether it be Conte, Poch, whatever. There's never any desire to really back them and do anything with them. It's just, how long can I keep this going before the fans start kicking off again? And then I've got to think about the next trick I'm going to pull. That's all it is. It's
a shame, Pete, isn't it? It's a shame, man, that unfortunately there are some of the fan base out there will fall for it, man. Will fall for it.
It is. I mean, I just think
get the tissues out and that's it.
Yeah.
Look at the very start of the Enoch's tenure. George Graham in charge. We've literally just won a cup. We're having a good cup run again in the FA Cup. We look like a genuine cup side again, but we used to be. Enoch's message was, that's not the Tottenham way. We're going to restore the Tottenham values and everything, and the style of football and then they make the token appointment. Glenn Hoddle, club legend, and everybody, myself included, I'll admit it. I saw Glenn Hoddle coming back, and I thought, yes, this is what we want. We're going to have the football coming back. We're going to have new investors that are pumping some money into the club. We're going places. A couple of years later, Santini's in. All of that bollocks, mate. He wasn't given enough time in my eyes. So you look back, then you could see that Levy is prepared to sacrifice a manager that wins things just for a token gesture to appease fans, so they can get away with bullshit in the meantime.
Well, look what he did to Jose. It's not sacking him. If there was one manager you want to win in a game in the cup final to get you that trophy, 99% of the time you're going to pick Jose. Yeah, because he will do whatever it takes, whatever he's got, he will make work. He will shithouse that game. It doesn't matter, but you will walk away 9 times out of 10 with that trophy. Yeah. And they sacked the geezer a week before, just to save on a couple of million.
Even for fans like me, I don't like Jose. Never have.
No. I mean, I'm for him to go because of the sheer amount of change that needed to happen. But to do that tells you where this club is at. Yeah. So the serial winner, the most prolific serial winner in history, probably wherever he's been, is at our club. He's about to win his first trophy, and he gets sacked before he can do it to save on a couple of million. Yeah, that tells you where we're at. And then you fast forward, you've now got Conte. It's the same thing. Yeah, it's the same thing. He ain't going to get a chance to get to a final, but there is no desire for this club, and he's actually saying it. In Mourinho, they showed it. In Conte, that he's the one saying it. Do you know what I mean?
So let me just add on that, Pete. What I've got to add on this is, first of all, with Mourinho getting sacked, apparently that wasn't about bonuses. Apparently he wanted to rest players for Southampton to focus on the league. And Levy said, no, Champions League is still up for grabs. You go to the Champions League. It's same difference. But what I want to say about Poch coming back, this is how stupid we are as a club right now. And people have got to get... We had everything we wanted with Poch. The style of play, the players, the unity, everything. He wasn't backed. If one person had earned the respect and to say, this is what you've done on a shoestring, here you go, what can we do to help you, and do it, and play the football that we wanted, was him. But no, what we do is we sack him. So what we do is we sack him, and then we bring in, like people have been saying, a serial winner that does it all. But how does he do it all? By the chairman going, do you know what? Here's the checkbook. Here's what you tell me what you need. We'll get it. We'll win titles. Then he pisses off. Different style of football to Poch. So we have an overload of players for that style of football to this style of football. Then we sack him, and we're going to have we'll have a manager by the end of the season. Oh no, we won't. We'll have it by the start. Oh no, we won't. And we'll keep going. We had the Conte rumours, but Conte, and I said it with Danny Kiriakou on Matt Hayes' channel. And I said, this is solely to build season ticket renewals. And once the season ticket renewal deadline passes, this deal will fall apart. Guess what happened 1 hour after? Bye-bye. Oh, but Poch is coming back. No, he's not. He's not leaving. Then we went through all those managers. And then he did that fucking season address going, we're going to play aggressive, attacking football. We're going to do all this stuff. No, we haven't. No, we haven't. But then we'll hire Nuno, whatever that is. And Nuno is a Premier League manager that left for free, resigned, or they didn't renew his contract at the end of the season. Could have got him straight after at the end of the season. No, let's wait till late June, early July. That doesn't work. You go back to Conte, you couldn't get, because Paratici is now there, as your last roll of the dice. What does Conte do? Wherever he goes, wins. How does he do it? Chairman, director of football align. What do you need? Do we do that? No. And then what's the rumours now? The way we're going to do that, the way we're going to solve all of this, is we're going to just pretend that these 2.5 years up where Poch has gone didn't happen. So then when Poch does come in, it will be him. When he does come in, we have an overload of defensive players, 6 on the fucking 6 on the bench. We have an overload of defensive players. So when we bring in an attacking manager, it's like, do you know what? We'll put Doherty. He scored a few goals in the breaks. We'll put him at right wing in case Kulusevski's injured. We're playing Sanchez as a holding midfield. This club is a joke. This club doesn't know what it's doing. It wakes up, and I swear to God, this club is fucked.
Relax. Do you know the thing for me? And just quickly, I'm gonna again, please smash the like button. Please subscribe. There are 575 of you in the chat. If you have all subscribed to me, great. I don't believe you have, but please do. Subscribe to Bob Spur, North Londonese, Tottenham on Tour, and Free Spurs Boys with Coop and the Kang. Show some love for your fellow Tottenham YouTubers. Subscribe to Henry Wright TV. Subscribe to Tottenham Away. Subscribe to Shellside Spurs. Subscribe to Babe Station. Everything. What I would say is, what's funny about our fan base, though, is this: we witnessed Harry Redknapp. I don't want to go further than that because we'll be here forever, but we witnessed Harry Redknapp at the turn of the year. I think we were second or third, a few points off top, saying, I want Tevez and Gary Cahill, and ends up with Saha and Nelson. So we know he didn't back him then. You've got AVB that wanted Moutinho and a few others, and that never materialised, and AVB's been very vocal about that. One day Ramos has even said that because he lost Berbatov and Keane in the same window, right? And then he was very vocal about what he wanted to bring in. You've got Pochettino, who was vocal towards the end of his reign about what he wanted. Jose Mourinho wanted loads probably, but Skriniar and ended up with Joe Rodon. Antonio Conte, we know what he wants. My worry, gentlemen, is this fan base just going to fall for it again? Not all of the fans, but is a lot of this fan base just going to fall for it again with the next manager we bring in and believe this will be the manager that gets backed?
Yes.
This
So
happens manager.
I think the manager, you got to look at the manager. I think Poch will be a fucking mug to come back.
Agree. I agree.
I could see the last conversation before he left Spurs would have been, listen, we need new furniture, man. I can't do anything with Davis and Dyer and Sanchez in the back line, Hugo, coming up to it. Even Winks
Same
is around.
furniture he left.
Winks is still around the club. I can't do it, man. All right, you're sacked. All right, see you later. Nearly 3 years later, he's coming back. Right, I'm coming back. All right. What you got for me? Well, you still got Dyer, Sanchez, and Davis around. You still got Hugo. Oh, by the way, Winks is still around. What the fuck?
Lucas Moura's still there.
Look, Ndombele and Lo Celso to come back as well, Bob.
Sorry?
Ndombele and Lo Celso to come back as well.
Okay. And another thing, on a quick side note, a lot of people saying, how can you judge Spence? I'm not judging Spence. I'm just going about how Conte's judging Spence. And someone says, how can you judge him after 2 minutes? You can judge him because he's only got 2 minutes. But that's another story. But yeah, Poch, I think he needs to be stronger. I don't care who comes in.
Disappointed in him if he come back because he should be seeing through it.
I've been saying this since the 75-day fiasco, and Coov knows. Mason in, Ryan Mason in. Under this board, Ryan Mason in.
Yeah, yep. Fuck it, I'm good with that.
Right, Mason in.
I mean, are we at that stage? I mean, Carl, if I come to you, are we at a stage now where literally it does not matter who is manager of this football club? Nothing's going to change. We were told. Do you know what? I mean, where I met Pete was. Sorry, I'm about to tell a love story, Pete, of how we met. For years and years on Twitter, I was in a group called Enoch Out, right? Funny enough, on Twitter, and met loads of good people in there. And we said for years and years, didn't we, Pete, that it doesn't matter who's manager, not going to get backed. But all of the Enoch sympathizers, apologists, whatever you want to call them, said, but once we're in the stadium, then it was, but COVID, but when we get Champions League, but there's no excuses now, Cole, but we're still doing the same things. When are the fan base going to realise leaving in it, they don't want to win anything, they just want money? When are we going to realise that?
Listen, we could be the only team in the league, and Levy would find a way to make us not win it. That is a determination for not.
That's brilliant.
Go on, Carl.
No, I think it is true. I mean, my hope was that Conte was Enoch's last play, and if that they couldn't do nothing with Conte in and he walked because he wasn't getting the backing, you would like to think that whatever percentage or minority of the fan base that are still behind Enoch, and like as you say, on Twitter, start giving it what are you complaining about? We're fourth, we're this, we're that, we've got all this, the money's coming in now. I was hoping that if Conte doesn't succeed, then this is Enoch's last stand and all the fan base then start turning. The only hope we've got is that performances like today, and again, if Conte doesn't get backed in this window, and that's, as horrible as this sounds to say, the only other last hope you got is that if Arsenal win the title this season, coming from where they have and where we were, then you think that hopefully would wake people up to sit there and go, yeah, listen, this is it now. We're fed up. If they can come from where they've come from to win the league, given that we were miles ahead of them not so long ago, then you guys ain't the people we need in charge. But I still fear they'll make that appointment that buys them a little bit more time, and that percentage of the fan base just won't turn. They'll still again say, right, we've got Poch back. That's it. Give the guy some time, and they buy more and more time because I just don't see that part of the fan base turning. To be honest, it seems really strange because. And again, you'll always, I saw it this weekend, the word entitled. Oh, you fans, some of these Spurs supporters are so entitled. It's like, yes, I am entitled because from where we've come as a club and what we've got, the training ground, which we was sold this, once we get this training ground, Where have we seen that? Where are the youth coming through that this training ground is developing? You know, where are the young players that we should be producing right now? What benefit has the training ground had on Dyer, Sanchez, Davies? You know, what good is it if it's, you know, what good is this training ground? Then you've got the ground. Oh, once we get the ground up and running, we'll be able to match the powerhouses. We still haven't got naming rights yet for that ground. You know, what is going on? So I just think if that hasn't turned the minority of people, I don't think they're going to turn, and Potts will be the saviour for Enoch again. That's the sad truth of it, I feel.
Do you know what? I mean, it's interesting. I mean, Kuva, if I bring you in here, isn't it bad that I've heard a lot of Spurs fans say something similar to Carl today? It's terrible. I agree. It almost needs something bad to happen to wake fans up, i.e., listen, I'm not saying relegation. We're never going to get relegated. You know, we've got too much for that. Famous last words. But it needs us to stop getting Europe. Do you know what I mean? It needs a Harry Kane to say, no, I'm not signing a contract. It needs Conte to walk away. It almost needs to fall apart before we can start to heal and come together as a fan base and unite against the owners.
I'm looking at a much earlier horizon than that. I'm looking at North London derby.
Yep.
We get spanked 3-0 at home by them, which, judging on today's performance and judging on the way they're playing, could well happen. They are
We're getting spanked at Palace. We're getting spanked at Palace.
Yeah, I think that will anger a lot of people, but the North London derby is the one.
I can't see it. I hope so. The way it's going, the only time this fan base get the is if they run out of neck oil or gamma ray. That's the only time they're going to get the because they don't care. I mean, last season we were hoping Arsenal bottled fourth, and in the space of a couple of months, now we're hoping they bottled winning the league.
Yeah,
I mean, if that ain't a wake-up call for fans, what is? All of them were tugging themselves silly after the end of last season, and now look at it. Now we're hoping they pray, and people say, they're fall away, they're bottle it, and all that. For me, their season has got all the same vibes as Leicester's season. Because every time we say it, every time they come out a challenge, they manage to do it. It's as painful as it is. This is the reality we got to suffer now. Do you know what I mean? And
Pete, don't forget, we won the transfer window.
Yeah, we won the transfer window. Yeah,
we won the transfer window.
Yeah, and I'm sure
you'll never see that. We won the transfer window, so everyone just be super happy. We won the window. You'll never.
I hope you don't mind me asking. I don't know if I can ask on your behalf, but this thing about Conte, I've just forwarded you a tweet as well, Sav. I don't know if I can read it. It's down that line as well. Conte being backed, not backed. Is it right to hold the club to ransom? And if he's not going to be there long term, why should the club spend any money? I mean, my personal view is, if that was the case, if a club worried about bringing in a player for a manager because they were worried about when he'd go, you'd never buy a fucking player.
No. Yeah. I think the difficulty, so I'm reading what you sent me here.
Yeah.
I think the difficulty with it is the chicken and the egg, isn't it? I mean, of course, you understand in any walk of life, why am I going to back you when you are telling me you might not be here next year? Bigger picture for me. Again, all of this for me is bigger picture. Why is he in a position where he feels that he might not be here next year? If you had backed him, if he felt he was going to be backed, this wouldn't be an issue. He's witnessed us in a transfer window that so many fans came out with that annoying phrase of "we won," right? We've witnessed them back him with one kid who's gone back to Italy, who will be a very good player, looks very good, but not even here. One 21-year-old he doesn't want. Perisic, let's be fair. I mean, how long's he got left? Long lay on loan. How's he building with a lone centre-back? Basuma, who, let's be honest, clearly I don't think he wanted him, right? That's what he's seen he's been backed with. He's now seeing that we can't even meet Sporting Lisbon's €45 million release clause for a right wing back. Why is that man going to sign a contract? But on the flip side, I get it, right? Like I've always said, Bob, people might disagree with this. Why am I going to back Conte when he's not backing himself to stay here?
Yeah.
So for me, it's just a constant. It's that merry-go-round of, well, the club aren't backing him. I'm not going to back him. He doesn't back the club. The players then probably, they don't back what he's doing and believe him. And that leads us to this great big kind of explosion where we are now of, well, the players aren't happy. The manager's not happy. The fans aren't happy. The director of football's going to prison. Kane wants to leave or hasn't signed a contract. Hong-Min's son, I mean, he might as well go and play in the Scottish League for how he's been playing. Hugo Lloris needs replacing. Christian Romero is probably going to end up at Barcelona or Real Madrid because he's just won the World Cup. What are we doing? The whole thing's a mess. And then what makes it worse, last thing I'll say, boys, I think this is what makes it much worse for me, is that you look just down the road and them lot look like in the space of 2 years, they've gone from being this club where everyone was mocking Arteta, mocking Ben White. Ben White's crap. Tomiyasu's crap. Xhaka's crap. Odegaard's crap. They're all crap. They're now looking like they've just got to have a good end to the season to win a league. I know it's early days. I'm not saying they will, but they've got a plan. All their players are in this great age bracket. There's no one there that's like 30-odd and they need to really drastically worry about their contract running down.
And they're trying to add to it.
And then you look at us. And then you look at us and they're going for players like Mudryk. And then our fans pretend, we wouldn't want Mudryk. He wouldn't get in our... Bob, I just don't know, mate. The whole thing is tell me if I'm being overzealous. I think the whole thing is an absolute shit show.
It's the bigger picture, like you said, Sam. The bigger picture, man. People need to realise what the bigger picture is.
I mean, that whole thing about the chicken and the egg, that sort of Mexican standoff between Conte.
Always about food with you, isn't it?
Yeah, of course it is.
And Mexicans.
Yeah, well, there's a fucking surprise, isn't it? nice one, Einstein. The whole thing about the Mexican standoff. You can't offer Conte the money without knowing he's going to be signing. He's not going to sign without he knows the guarantee. I don't buy any of that absolute bullshit. If you are a club owner with ambition, you slam the money on the table and you say, this is what I want. You are the one that sets the tone. You are the one that sets the objectives. If people want to sort of back and just say, oh, no, he can't be expected to break the bank or anything like that, or put his hand in his own pocket to finance the club, the answer to that is, why did he buy a football club?
Yeah.
If you are not prepared to do that, why take on board the fan base whose hopes and dreams have gone through generation after generation, identified with this football club, and you come waltzing in as some bloody corporate entity, enticed in by the revenue money coming from bloody TV companies like Sky and the Premier League getting bloated with cash, and you expect to have this bloody standard of, oh no, we're not going to invest our own money while we bleed all this money out of it and make ourselves into billionaires in the meantime. Yeah. If you wanted to do that, why can't you pick a different industry? Why didn't you pick one that's where you're expected to make profits and you're thought of as being a success in those terms? At a football club, success is bloody winning things.
Do you know why? Because Levy at Tottenham, they can serve up any shit they like because we're fans. We're mostly compelled to go. If they owned a business like a restaurant or whatever and served up shit there, customers wouldn't go back. We don't have that thing. So there is a guaranteed wallet turning up every year.
Yep,
that's what it is. Walk-in wallets every year turning up, no matter what they do. Yeah, Levy can come out his office on the top with a sniper rifle, shoot half the fan base. They'll still be turning up next year.
And if you're okay with year after year basically being a mug for Levy, what happens to mugs? Eventually, somebody teabags it.
Exactly.
I mean, but this is an interesting one, guys, isn't it? Because I mean, we touched upon this yesterday, Daigle. That I get it. If people have got a season ticket, look, they've had it for years, or they've been waiting for it for years. They don't want to give it up. I completely get that. Yeah. But in the same breath, what do we do then? Because all the while, 62,000 or whatever it holds are sitting in there, paying, buying hot dogs, beer that fills up from the bottom, £95 sausage rolls or whatever it is. As Pete said, the revenue he makes is huge, but equally, there's not enough gain in him putting more money into in the league because the gap from fourth to first in terms of revenue you get, it's not worth it to him.
But Sav, I know you've asked Brian, but Sav,
Yeah,
and
go on.
to an extent Pete as well. So
If anyone's
why
going
the
to
fuck-
interrupt me,
why the fuck does that
I'll-
matter? Just because I've bought a hot dog doesn't give me any less of a right, demanding more from my.
I agree.
I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying, man.
agree.
I know what you're saying. I'm putting.
I suppose the question I'm asking then, Bob, I'm not saying it gives anyone less of a right. What I'm saying is, if that's the case, and you know, everyone likes to eat a hot dog, right? Of course. If that's the case, and Levy's still making that money every game, as Pete said, what's the how do you hurt the owner? That's what. How do you
noises still can be made? Noises can still be made, Sav. You know, just because we go to the game. Listen, Brian is going to elaborate as well. He's never turned around and said, "Don't go to the games."
Yeah,
I support Tottenham Hotspur Football Club, and I'll go and see them whenever I can. When I go and watch Spurs, and we're playing. Well, it's been a while, but we're playing winning football. I don't sit there and say, "Oh, you know, I bet Levy are getting their money's worth." No, I'm in there for my own enjoyment when I'm buying into a hot dog at Spurs. This is going way off, but you know what I'm saying. So we can do that. We can go to games.
That you like hot dogs.
Yeah. We can go to games. I don't buy merchandise, but people entitled to buy merchandise, get hot dogs, etc. He says with flags behind him. But noises can still be made. I can still do all that and still say I'm fucked off with Lenik, like we all should be able to. The whole narrative of you can't be Levy out. You pay for you pay to go. I'll go and fuck yourself, mate. Come back with a better argument.
So let me just elaborate on a few things here.
I mean, other people out there.
Let me just elaborate on a few things. Through my Levy Out group that I'm with, which is going bananas right now, the Facebook group.
How many Levy Out groups you in?
I know I'm only in the one that I'm in. I'm only in the one that I'm in, and I always have been, and I stand proud with every single goddamn one of them. Yeah. There's another group that's come up that have asked to speak to me, which I will do with the greatest of goddamn pleasure. But the Facebook group and the Twitter handle went a bit dormant when we got the money, and we're like, so since then, today alone, there's been over 200 requests to join the Facebook group.
Yeah,
there's movement this time. There is movement. Now I'm going to go on a bit here. The Twitter group has exploded. The people that are saying don't go to games, they're wrong. Yes, it's wrong because it hits them in the wallet, but what's happening? It's not hurting them in the wallet because what they're doing is they're putting it on the ticket exchange, so they don't have to go. Yeah, sure. And then what's happening is people that are coming who are just happy to get a ticket are going in there that aren't Levy Out, or maybe Levy Out, maybe don't have a seat and they've got the opportunity to go in. The hardcore nucleus of fans, they're saying, I don't want to go anymore, fuck this. Don't, if you're going to hurt them, I know it's going to hurt. Listen, I'm not telling you to do this because we all know the world is tough right now. Don't put your ticket on the ticket exchange. Don't. If you're in a position where you can, obviously, that's what I mean. Not because if you sell it to someone, and I'm not being out of order, but I say a lot of the times at the moment it could be a tourist who's just there for the experience, who goes, oh, I sat in the South Stand, oh, I've seen this arena, the entertainment complex. The people that are thinking of giving up their season tickets, don't give up your season tickets. Because you give up your season tickets, you're giving them to people that don't feel the same way as you. You think this is the thing. People could get more. We need the hardcore. And listen, Bob was going to come with me to the NFL protest, but it was just before his heart operation, so he couldn't. And then we all know what happened at the training ground. Believe me, if Bob could have had his coma outside the training ground, trust me, Bob would have been outside the training ground. But he was in a coma. In case people didn't know this, it takes. I am getting personal messages on DMs from all kinds of social media. Brian, you were right. Brian, I'm sorry. Brian, this time we've got to do it bigger. This time it has got more movement. It's going to happen. It's going to continue. And you know the thing that I'm pleading. You know when we used to sing Arsene Wenger, we want you to stay in the North London derby. I guarantee you, those lot will sing Daniel Levy, we want you to stay. You're going to tolerate that from Arsenal fans. What needs to happen is, and I want to give credit I want to give credit to every single person today that retweeted anything, put something on their social media, saying it wasn't long enough, but saying and got those voices out. That's a building ground. That's a building block. We have to continue building. We have to continue because, like when I came on here yesterday, and people were saying, "Oh, there were only 5 and 10 people that protest." Well, to my recollection, yesterday there were big podcasts talking about it. It's been sung in the stadium. Alistair Gold even picked up on it today and has reported about it today. Things are happening.
Yeah.
Things
And talking of
happening.
things changing as well, Sav. I think we had Shaggy 1712 in the chat earlier, mate. That's Ian Meth. Big up,
Yep.
Ian. Good to see you.
Big Ian.
And Ian's never been a Levy in. He's not a Levy apologist. Me and Ian had a bit of a disagreement on Twitter. That's how we started chatting, and he was just seeing the different point of view and you know being honest about his worries if someone comes in. Not Levy still in there, but you know admittedly he's seeing what we've been trying to say and what we've been trying to bring to the fore, and it's and big up to him. He's turned around and he's he's seeing the light. Big up to him.
Wrong, Sava. Go back to that, please, mate.
Yeah, go with the Shaggy said. What did Ian say? I didn't actually get to read it.
Yeah,
I'll come back to the Exogilo. Sorry.
I feel we might have been Levy said the terms of game changer.
Levy told the truth again. Fans don't get it. Levy told the truth. It is a game changer. Are we spending money? But it's about us spending money. It was never about him. It was a game changer for fans spending money from not £1,000 a year to £2,000 a year. That's what the game changer was. He told the truth. He's always told the truth. I'll give him that. He said about the football, what they're here for. He's always told the truth. His fans see it that way.
I'll tell you what, that leads me on nicely. One second, Brian. That leads me on nicely.
I've got to go. I've got to go. I promised Henry Wright, and I need 10 minutes to not talk about this fucking parasite. So everyone, love you load. Big up to Ian because big up Ian, and I respect that man a lot and fair play to him. Happy New Year to everyone on the panel. Happy New Year to everyone in the chat. And as always, Levy out.
Guys, just quickly before I've got something I want to bring up, but just a few super chats. XOGXLow, thank you very much. Has said Levy's job is to get bum on seats. When the stadium is full, Levy wins. He's shown he doesn't care about the football side, yet the stadium is still full. I think look, that's the conversation I suppose that we've just been having. I suppose the upside to the stadium being full is if you can get enough people within the stadium that don't want ENIC and Levy to make that heard, then I suppose that's the way this is going to need to go from. And Borodin has said, give us a spend total prediction this window, guys. So let's do that. I mean, let me start with you, Carl. What are you? Reports came out this week. Again, it's all reports. We're football fans. We believe loads of things, right? But 30 million was our war chest for this January transfer window. How much do you think we will spend in January?
I think we are looking at one loan player and then potentially around the 25-30 million mark, and that'll be it. But you'll get 2 players in. One will be like the Bentancur and Kulusevski deal, which will be loaned to begin with possible future buying clause in there. Obviously, that saves you some money straight away. And then, they might be after this Pedro Porro. And as we know, Levy will try to rinse every penny out of that deal, So you could be, I reckon the 30 mil is probably realistic. That'll be, possibly 1 or 2 players and then maybe a loan. I think 3 is the top you're going to get in. You're not getting any more players than 3 in, but you won't be spending massive amounts because there'll be a loan in there.
Absolutely. I mean, Kuva, I'll come to you next. One of the things I've heard a lot today, I'm going to ask you the same question, but one of the things I've heard a lot today is the age-old comment of, well, maybe this result will make the owners go big in the market now. I mean, I don't believe that at all. Do you think there's anything in that, any legs at all?
His history suggests that if the problem comes down to lack of finances, or lack of funding, getting a dip in the team's form, then it's the manager that will be replaced because it's the cheapest option.
Sure.
History shows us that. There's no doubting. So as usual, what were that was? I think this is why I get annoyed with myself, because after Hoddle was replaced and Santini came in, I realised Levy's full of shit. Whatever he says,
Yeah.
It absolutely insincere as hell. When Martin Yole got sacked is when I first got turned to Levy out.
Me too.
I'd had enough of that. That was disgusting. Since then, I've had like the likes of Harry Redknapp come in. I've enjoyed the football, so I've sort of held back a bit on the Levy out stance. Posh came in. I was loving the football, thought we could go somewhere. And then he took away the funding, nothing for free transfer windows. Team went stagnant, fell away, awful football. Out the manager goes again. I was staunch Levy out at that point so much. Then Conte finally comes in with Paratici, and I'm angry with myself for thinking maybe this is the one that turns it around. Maybe this combination finally breaks Levy. Nah. Having none of this bullshit. Absolutely none. So to say we're going to get suddenly funded in January, bollocks. That will rely on selling players that we have out on loan at the moment. And nobody bloody wants them. The only way we're going to get any decent cash out of anybody will be Ndombele if Roma finish in Champions League spots and they've got an obligation to buy at that point. So that's not going to help us in January. 30 million anyway. What's that going to buy us? You look for a bargain at best. So then we're looking at loan signings. So who's going to loan out anybody that's any good at that point? Because they'd want to play in their team, wouldn't they? They might sell if it's a big enough money.
Oh, hang on. Atalanta loaned us Galini.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. Perhaps we could get him back, actually. He's young, cheap.
And Hugo, who we're going to speak about in a bit, is awful. Bob, tell the 606 people in the chat, 403 of you of which have not liked the show. Terrible form from you.
Very, very quickly before Bob as well, can I as well? Pedro Porro. What do we know about the sort of fullback that Conte usually sorts of like, the wing backs or the wingers? He tends to like sort of powerful big lads, doesn't he? Mm-hmm. And Pedro Porro's what, 5'7"?
5'7", something like that. Yeah, 5'7", 5'6".
Doesn't fit, does it?
Mate, he's fashionable. He's a fashionable name. Like this Udogie. Get Udogie back. Why? When have you seen him play? What makes you think he's going to be the best thing since sliced bread?
What makes you think he's going to play for us at all?
Mate, you want to talk about players that's going to improve the squad, and I'd be happy with. It's going to be the likes of a Hakimi, the likes of a Maddison, not some player we've just heard about over Twitter for a few days, and suddenly you think, Porro, I've not seen him play. I don't know how good he's going to be. It's like Spence, he had a few good games. I don't know. Hakimi, Kessia. I know you don't really want him there. There's no point at the moment. Maddison, players that are going to mean something. That's when you can start getting.
You want established players that we've seen do it before, and you go, that's why I want him. I get listen, Pedro Porro for me. I've seen him a few times. One of which I was very impressed. The other of which I didn't notice him. That's always dangerous to judge a player when you've seen them twice and they were either good or they're not. But it's strange, isn't it, that we don't seem to be linked with any links can be misleading, but Bob, we don't seem to be linked with anyone in any of the positions we need. Like Chelsea, Badaschili, done. Do you know what I mean? Just done. Oh, Liverpool, we've already got 6 forwards. Let's go and get Gakpo. Done. I mean, what can you see coming in, Bob? Realistically,
and
you've gone for loans.
They're not mega money. I mean, they're not mega money as well. With regards to how much we're going to spend in summer, what is it? Our budget's £35 million, is it?
Apparently,
35 million. So £3.50.
It's shocking, isn't it? I mean, listen, I don't always, Pete. I'll come to you. I don't always give a lot of credence to what Fabrizio Romano said, but he did say on Last Word on Spurs that Spurs have sent scouts many times to watch Porro, and that also that Malinowski, Spurs want a loan, and Atalanta want 17 million. Now, if anything ever summed up where we are with our ambitions as a football club, it's that Chelsea go Nkunku, done. Badashili done. That's over 100 million they've spent in the last 3 weeks. Enzo Fernandez, they're in talks with for 105 million, and we're going 17 million. I don't know. Can we borrow him? Can we loan him? And bearing in mind, Pete, before you answer that, this is a bloke that doesn't start games very often. What are you hoping for?
Too much. I can see Traore finally coming in on a loan or something.
You said that before, yeah. I remember you saying that.
Definite.
This is the 8th window you've said that.
The 8th window will be linked with him and all. With one guy away. An attacker that apparently we're after, which probably means we'll end up with getting Che Adams from Southampton or something like that. Someone who's never going to compete with any of the front lot we've got. I just can't see anything. And as Conte said, it's not the club's vision is not to go for players that are going to win you anything, which is anyone we want. Is going to be for the young players on peanuts. He's come from the horse's mouth. That's what the brief he's got. That's what the brief Paratici's going to have, according to Conte. So, what are you expecting? I mean, I wouldn't expect to see Paratici at any big club. More like you'll be seeing him at your local creche. Because that's the limits of this club's ambition. They have got no ambition to want to get in top players. And the whole point of Conte not having a contract, you're just only going to give them. Well, we don't need. Look. Why should we back him? As we've said, because he's not signing. Not that he's ever going to do it anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it's worrying, isn't it, guys? That not only we're in a position now where. Actually, let me ask you guys. Come on, who of you think that Antonio Conte is going to be here in 5 games' time? Realistically, between now and the end of January, 5 or 6 games, who believes he will be the Tottenham manager in 6 games' time?
No,
I reckon a defeat at Palace, I reckon, ends it all.
Do you think?
And you can see that coming, can't you?
Push or jump?
Yeah, sorry, I had to rush back because I got excited at the name Che Adams.
Jump. For me, jumps. A defeat at Palace, and I think he jumps, and I think and hopefully he'll come out once he has jumped and say, "Listen, that club doesn't want to do what it needs to do to get where the fans want it to get to. Where it is now is where the board want it to be." But I think a bad defeat, a bad performance and defeat at Palace, and he goes.
Does he need somewhere definitive to go to, though?
No, I think he'll just happily walk
Just go.
and take his view that I'll wait till the summer and then I'll walk into another top job at that point because one will become available.
So I want to talk about where he'd go in a minute, but so no one here, from what I'm hearing, no one here thinks he's going to see it through to the summer.
No. I think he goes. I think he might go in the next few days.
So let me ask
I didn't used to think that until I saw those quotes that contradicted what he said just a few days earlier. I think he's now at the point where he's just gone, fuck it. I'm saying what I think.
He's a beaten man.
Everyone in the chat, this is going to be terrible. So 600 of you. Yes or no? Does Conte make it to the summer? Guys, I'm going to put something controversial forward here. I'll start with you, Pete. Could it be that if Conte does walk now, as we're coming up to this really tough 10-game period with Man City twice, Milan twice, Arsenal, Chelsea, Wolves away, Leicester away, West Ham, I think there's someone at Fulham away. Could it be that the new manager bounce could see us through that 10 games and Daniel Levy's thinking about that? You know what he's like?
Oh, yeah, but that all depends on the new manager, doesn't it? You ain't going to get a Ryan Mason bounce.
How do you know? Ryan Mason's...
he didn't do that badly.
Yeah, but there's no bounce, was it? Let's be honest. It was, I'll pick my mates and get on with it. But it's... I mean, I remember some shocking performances even with him. Southampton, didn't we lose that game and stuff like that? But it all depends on what he does, who he gets in. If he gets Poch in, you may get that, potentially, because the players who have played with him before, which is quite a lot of them there, might start going, oh, get a bit happy, and they might play a bit better. But I can't really see it. I think this, well, it all depends on the manager. I said, but they need so much. You got so much games coming up where a new manager ain't gonna have time to really implement anything of his own because it's just game after game after game. So it's going to be hard to get a bounce in. Do you know what I mean?
I actually think it'll be even harder to get a bounce with Poch because he's going to need 2 seasons to break the team apart and get his style of play in. He said that first time he came round. He said the first season I'm going to be using to evaluate the players. Second season I'll be like getting rid of the ones I don't want. Third season is where we start going. It's the long term thing.
Well, evaluate half of them are still here.
Yeah. And a lot older, so they can't run around like Poch likes them to.
No.
So we all think he's going to go. We all think he's going to go very, very shortly. What reaction is that going to have, Bob, with our fans? Is that finally going to spark the fans into sustained protests, into a sustained unity? Because even to this day, I get so many people in my chat that are like, you're ungrateful. Enoch and Levy have done this for the club, X, Y, Z. And I just don't know if this doesn't drop the penny, if the penny doesn't drop with this occasion, Bob, when is it ever going to?
I'd love to. I'd love the tide to be finally turned and the bigger picture, as we say, comes to the fore and people do see it. But I don't think it will, man. There's too many people putting the onus who aren't seeing the bigger picture, and it's Conte out, Conte's shit, Conte's this, Conte out, Poch in. There's too much of that going around that the joyous, the jizz fest over Poch coming in will overshadow a lot, i.e. Conte, why Conte failed, and what Lidic have done again. So as much as I hope it would have been, it wouldn't have happened, but it would have been good for all this to come out in the summer when we'd got top 4. And he said all this. This is my vision. In a nutshell, this is my vision. We've got top 4. We need to kick on. This is what we need to do. The club know this. They're not matching my ambition. See you later. That's when it would have all turned round and it would have been, what the fuck?
That's my issue with him.
The trouble is then, Bob, how do you demonstrate against it? How do you... there's no games to go to in the summer.
Yeah. But he still could demonstrate it.
It gets 6 weeks of just pissing around. By that time, most people will have forgotten about it. There'll be some shiny new fucking flag put up or some shit like that. And we announce a sponsor with the cat waistcoat provider of the 21st century. And fans will be going, oh, marvellous. And then it's like, oh, by the way, Nuno's coming back. You what?
Yeah. Or maybe you're right. Maybe should have waited till at least the first game, see what squad he's got. I'm thinking, nah, this ain't for me. See you later. But yeah, it would have been good for him to make the point when we were on the up. Now, when the football's dire and we're playing below our best and we are grinding, we're not even grinding out results anymore.
No, that's the problem, isn't it?
There's going to be a lot of people out there, unfortunately, who will be blinded by the fact that we're getting Pochettino back. And lose sight of the fact that Conte didn't fail. We failed Conte.
Yeah. Absolutely. Are there any other names, guys, that I can't believe we're at that stage again as a football club? That's where we are. Are there any other names that realistically, because I've seen Tuchel being bandied about, I've seen Thomas Frank being bandied about, Brendan Rodgers. I'm not saying it matters as much because we know they won't be backed, but is there anyone that you think, that actually looks like a fit?
Sam Allardyce.
Sam Allardyce.
Yeah, nobody expects him to win anything. No bar to be got over. There is no bar anymore. And nobody will give a shit when he gets sacked. It's perfect.
I can see. I wouldn't rule out a Thomas Tuchel, but on a 6-month contract till the end of the season, and then see what happens there. Because sort of you got a lot of continuity in how he's quite defensive manager, isn't he? Most of our squad is full of defensive players, so it's sort of to see us through the rest of the season. It makes sense. He's done in England. He's done it before. I don't want him personally, but if you're looking at a bit of continuity from where you are for the squad you've got, he's probably the most sensible option until you can do better in the summer.
Yeah,
but
could he get some results out of it? Yeah, I think he could, mate. Do I
There
want
was
him
another
to
name in
he's
the
doing
chat.
it? No.
Would you
Another
guys
name in the
consider?
chat.
Would
One
you
you
guys
wouldn't rule
consider?
out that was in the chat was Rogers.
I'd love Rogers.
Rodgers, yeah.
Would you
But
guys consider Vieira?
Yeah, I think he's got. There's something about him. Yeah.
I think it's too early. I think we've got to be careful with that because remember, same fans were saying about Steven Gerrard after Rangers, and then look what he did at Villa with a very good squad. Let's be honest, they got very good players there. So I think we've got to slow down a bit on the sort of the hype name and be a bit more realistic.
What I think bollocks to it. Let's go for the hype. It doesn't matter, mate.
Wenger.
Scott Parker, that wouldn't surprise me because he would be a complete yes man.
Another one for till the end of the season, as possible. 6-month contract.
He just signed for
Club Brugge. He's gone to Club Brugge. Thomas Frank just signed a new contract. He ain't going anywhere.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be a circus, isn't it, between now and the end of the season, guys? What's the best, Kuva? What's the best we can hope for? I'm coming to you next, Carl. As a Spurs fan now, I'm not saying the season's over because we're fifth, but we're in free fall. We've won one of our last 4 Premier League games, and that was against Leeds United, who can't buy a win for love nor money. What's the best we can hope for, seriously, Kuva? What in terms of how can we see out the season without it being a complete disaster? Is it getting Europe, scraping Champions League, just not having burnt down the stadium for all the hate? What's the best we can hope for?
As far as I'm concerned, the best we can possibly hope for is just put out football teams capable of producing something worth fucking watching. We're not winning anything. There is no chance we're winning anything with ENIC here. So, as far as I'm concerned, pick your poison. We're all going down the toilet.
Yeah.
I mean, that leaves me feeling very hopeful as a fan. Carl, can you give me any more optimism other than that?
I don't think so. Not with the players you've got, because ultimately, defensively, you're not good enough to see games out and keep clean sheets. And when you can't do that, you're in an uphill battle all the time. The Champions League, the quality that's in there will get to us eventually. You know, will we get past Milan? That one you could say, well, you know, you could get past them. But then if you get one of those big boys, City, PSG, you ain't surviving against those teams without players. The League Cup, as we know, you know, any cup or competition we're in at the moment, you just don't feel there's a team that can get and put a performance in that get you to a final and win a final. You know, we've had much better sides not be able to do it. I can't see this team being able to do it, unfortunately.
Pete, what's the best? I mean, is it, let me just change it up for you, Pete. Is it best we get Europe next season in one way or another? Or does this club need to have a year without Europe, trim down the squad and worry about building an actual squad rather than having a huge squad that can compete twice a week?
That's a double-edged sword, really, because when you can have a new manager in place, which you likely are, it's good to just go from week to week. But on the other side of that is that's a straight ready-made excuse for Levy for not spending any money. We ain't got European football, so your budget is now was 30 million, it's now 15 million. So for me personally, if you're asking me, I think to not have Europe will be a plus because it shows as long as the owner's got European football, no matter in what way, shape or form, that he's happy because it's just money. It's another day's money coming in the ground, isn't it? Let's be honest. So that's all we cares about. So the more we stop that, the better. And the better any new manager will have working week to week, game to game, Saturday to Saturday with the squad. If you're asking me personally, as a Spurs fan, what I would want. The best thing I'd hope for myself personally is someone does a fucking Guy Fawkes and just blows the fucking gaff up with them all in it. Stadium and all, to get some of my tits, and we'll start again from there.
Brilliant. Bob, so instead of the stadium being blown up by Guy Fawkes, who's been dead for however many years, how are you looking at it, mate? Yeah, I reckon.
No, he was in a coma.
He was in a coma.
He still is. For you, Europe, I mean, wouldn't it be terrible to get Conference League again? Like, would you rather? I'll change it up for you. Would you rather finish 8th than top 7?
You know what? I agree with Pete. But
What, Guy Fawkes?
yeah, Guy Fawkes, yeah. That. But I agree that maybe being out of Europe, but it's embarrassing, man. It's such a shame that we have to sit here and lessen our expectations and our ambitions because of these lot up there. We're sitting here not wanting European football just so we can prove a point to Lenik, and that's embarrassing and it's shameful, man. And this is what their owners have done.
I agree.
The biggest thing, I said this in the tweet earlier, they can do everything. They can not back the manager. They can not invest when they really need to. They cannot kick on. When they can come out with all the lies and false promises. But the biggest thing they've done for me is made me love my club less. And that's unforgivable.
Yeah, I agree.
Man.
I agree.
That's unforgivable. And for me, not wanting Spurs to be in Europe, Sav, I'll be honest with you, I don't give a shit. I'd love us to be in the Conference League, man. It's European football.
Yeah.
I come from that age. I come from UEFA Cup nights and Cup Winners' Cup nights, Hajduk Split and all that. I come from all them nights. So for me, I don't care. It's Conference, Europa, Champions.
Where I'm coming from with that, Bob, it's more about, for me, do we need a year where whatever the new manager is hasn't got that to worry about, so we can actually just worry about building a team that plays once a week, obviously the FA Cup or League Cup, but once a week, and we don't have to get embroiled into, well, we're playing Sunday, Tuesday. That's the only place I'm coming from.
I agree.
I love European football, but we simply don't have the squad for it. Look at the bench today.
Exactly, and that's
It's
what I
the
said.
worst bench in the league.
Yeah, that's why I said I can't differentiate. For me, I agree with you. The best thing for us as a team would be a season out of Europe, a bit like Arsenal last season, although they didn't get fourth, but managed to gather themselves and get some momentum. But the fact we have to think that way because of our squad, and then look at the bigger picture, all goes roundabout to them. So yeah, I agree with you. A year out of Europe would be right, but I just think it's a fucking shame, man.
So let me ask you this then, guys. Let's assume, hypothetical game for anyone in the chat gets annoyed with me. Antonio Conte goes tomorrow. He walks, he's pushed, he walks, whatever it is. Does Paratici need to go with him to make it a clean clear out?
Oh, fuck me, yeah.
Oh, I guess Pete's starting then. Pete, I mean, does he? Look, at the moment, for me, there's all of that hanging over his head. He's brought in, however we look at it, he's brought in these players that apparently aren't good enough or whatever it may be. He's the one that should be reshaping his club from top to bottom from a director of football point of view. Should he go?
100%. For me, he's been crap. People want to go on about Kulu and Bentancur, but they weren't things he unearthed. There's stuff he already knew, players he knew about. He just pulled the handle on them at the last minute. I mean, when you look at his first window, like Romero, yeah, okay, but then we moved that money to another window. But then you had Gil, Royal, Sarr, yeah, Sarr 15 million, Gil 25 million, and Lamela, and then Royal 30 million. That is probably our worst window, just behind the last one of Poch. Yeah, and Galini, yeah, that's Civ, yeah. So you got that window is probably our worst window, just behind the Ondembele, Lo Celso, Clark, and Sessegnon window, all day long.
I mean, Carl, how do you feel about it? What do you think the job Paratici's done? If Conte goes, is that his mate that he also goes, or do we want Paratici building for the next manager, having seen what he's brought in?
To be honest, I don't have any faith in any of the scouting staff that are at the club. When you look at the last 10 years transfers, and you go back to players like Kevin and Kudu and people like that, and Jai, you look at what are these guys seeing in these players and think, they're players worth buying. The only question I think that's there is Parachichi also having his hand tied by Daniel Levy? Because anyone that thinks a director of football has got free rein to go out and spend the money how he wants to at the club, I think that's a little bit naive, because I don't think Parachichi has got full rein. I still think every decision has to go through Daniel Levy, and we don't know that they've wanted players that Daniel Levy has just gone, well, you're not getting him. He's 28, 29. What good is that to us? Where's the sell-on value there? So I'm not sanctioning that deal. You need to look. I want younger blood. So we don't know if Parachichi has got a list of names that he could, when he leaves, he might come out and say, listen, yes, I had to go and get Emerson Royal, but I wanted X such a player at a certain point. I just wasn't allowed to go and get it. That's the biggest fear for me. I still think Daniel Levy has all the control in what happens with transfer.
I agree with that, Carl. I agree with that to an extent, but I still think with the money he's had, he should be getting better.
Oh, yeah,
30 million for Royal when there was Tommy Asu up for sale.
Yes.
Is a no-brainer.
Don't get me wrong. I've not been impressed with him. The players that he has.
I get you saying. I've said the same thing. As long as Levy's there, you can never fully think that the director of football has got full carte blanche on what goes with the thing. Levy will always, as the final say, you don't, like most director of footballs, get them budget and then they go and do what they got to do. Levy, every deal goes through him and he signs it off. He also has his own 2 bobs worth in as well, as we've seen with Jed Spence. Yeah, that no one wanted him, but we had to club out to buy him.
I have said for a long while, though, the whole scouting system for me needs to be questioned at the club, because when you look at the money we've spent over the years on the dross that we've spent it on, in any other business, you would pull those people in and say, failure, 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 failure. You guys are obviously failures. You're out. And I'm going to get people in that can do the job.
I think we do have to question it. I think the first question would be, do we bloody have one?
Right.
It's the brief, isn't it? It's the brief. When there's probably top scouts out there that want to get top players, but then we don't want top players. We're after the player we can get for cheap and flip him for a profit. That's what we're after, which is a very unique skill set, which not many director of footballs have.
Pete, is it irrelevant though, mate? Is it irrelevant? I mean, I get so much shit for this. I don't think Hitchin was a failure. I think he got our time. There's that, like I think you said it earlier. There's going to be the same person who's going to keep on signing the checks. It's renowned. It's well known. Skriniar was literally at the door, ready to sit down and sign the check. Hitchin was over there for weeks on end, trying to convince and do the deal. But at the end, when Levy had to pull out the pen and sign the check, he refused to.
Hang on, to be fair, we did get Roden, who is like a young Skriniar.
Yeah,
but then also,
he was about 8.
Think what you want, Mona. Think what you want about Grealish, but it's everyone knows, and this has come from Villa, not Spurs. Yeah. Villa was sat there, accepted a £15 million bid from Spurs, expecting them to come in that day. Here's 15 million, see you later, we'll take Grealish. Grealish was all ready. He was all packed. He'd found houses in North London. This is done. This is categorically true in 4-4-2 from Villa themselves. Yeah. Then and Daniel Levy decided to come in and negotiate 3 million. And Villa were like,
here's the thing as well. I don't want to say it's a quote from Levy himself, but I certainly remember hearing something along these lines. He doesn't want to give up that side of the transfer dealings. He loves negotiating. He absolutely thrives on it. It's one of his favourite times.
An ego.
Yeah,
he wants to get more than they want to pay, and the other team, and then pay less than what the other team wants.
So he's not going to relinquish the control of that, is he? If it's something he loves doing, he's just going to carry on. All of these directors of football, it is a go-between between manager and chairman. But at the end of the day, chairman makes the decision.
Yeah,
he's the one with the checkbook.
5 million, and he was ours. 5 million. Now I ain't paying it. I'll get the so.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is the difficult for me is it's so difficult to ever have any kind of definitive answer on some of these conversations, because we don't know what was Paratici's brief when he came in. What was the scouts' brief when they came in? As you said, Hitchin put players like Grealish, Bruno Fernandes, Skriniar in front of Levy, and we didn't end up with those players.
Just go and have a look at the interview with Paul Mitchell about his time as being a director of football. So we need to do.
I hear you. I'm just looking at, on the flip side of that, I'm looking at, if I was a director of football and then I've taken a player who's 30 million to Daniel Levy and he signed it off, the fact that the best right wing back or the best right back he could come back with from the world of football was Emerson Royal, that does not look great for Paratici, because let's be fair, there's no way on earth Daniel Levy's gone, there's a bloke who plays out there that I really want us to buy. He wouldn't know about that, right? But he's come back to me, signed off the check. My director of football, for me, should be finding 100 right backs in the world better than Emerson Royal for 30
Remember,
million.
he looks at 10 players before he pulls his deal. And so he looked at 10 and then went for him. So how bad were the other 9? If that was the best 10.
It's for me, I lost faith with Paratici in his first transfer window, and for me, he's not made it up since. Bob, I mean, from your point of view, was Paratici bought here in the first place, do you think, to get Conte? I know we got Nuno first, but it wasn't through the want of trying for Conte first. If you remember, he rejected us.
Sav, man, this is the same guy who brought Nuno in. This is the same guy who we're talking about Fonseca. This is the same guy who went for Gattuso. This is the same guy who had to go on his hands and knees to get Conte back because of what Levy had asked him to do. So, but again, there's no blame to Paratici. All this Don Paratici and all this. Mate, still the same person. Still the same person signing the checks. He could do whatever he wants. I wouldn't sit here and judge Paratici, just like I wouldn't judge Hitchin. There was something about Mitchell. He had a bit of backbone about him. Hence the reason he's come out and spoken about Levy. Just showed what kind of man he is. But Paratici, they're all puppets. Unfortunately, they're all puppets, man.
Yeah, they are. I mean, guys, I wanted to move it on to look. We've seen another. Get back to the actual game today. We've seen Hugo Lloris make what feels like a weekly, I don't know, it's probably not, and that might be harsh, guys, but I feel like we're having this conversation on streams more than we're not these days, of Hugo Lloris making yet another error. This has got to be the last year, right? Or is anyone going to put up a kind of fight for him to be here again next year as our number one? Hoover, I'll start with you.
What, for comedy value?
I mean, no, just I like your haircut. But
what, Conte here next season or Paratici or both?
Did you listen to a word I said?
No, I didn't. You
didn't listen to a word I said, did you?
Nah,
thanks,
I was reading the comments.
Hugo Lloris.
Well, we already know he's going.
But do we?
Yeah, he said, didn't he say he wants to go back to France to see out the final years of his.
He signed a contract.
He signed a contract, isn't he signed up until the same time as Kane, if I'm not wrong? Isn't he signed up
only 18 months, isn't it?
Yeah, okay, so I'm asking then, is this his last year as number one?
I think if we're going to be sensible about it, unless there's a keeper that's available right now, say a Henderson or someone like that, that you should spend big on because he is there, we should do that and then push Lloris out. Otherwise, you look at somebody that's perhaps a little bit younger, bit of potential about them, but you can ease them in gradually, kind of like we did when Hugo came. We had Brad Friedel, and Hugo had to bide his time and ease his way into the team, get used to the team setup, training, and everything like that. So for me, if there is somebody available right now that's top quality goalkeeper, just go and get them. Don't piss about. If they want 40, 50 million, even 60 million, if they're real quality, just go and get them. Like Liverpool did, just get out, grab Alisson.
So isn't this bad then, Cooper? Then that now not only do we need 2 centre backs and a right wing back and a creative midfielder and possibly a Kane or some replacement, we're now saying this next window we need a 50 million goalkeeper as well.
Perisic replacement as well. Of course, he's on the way out.
I mean, Bob, where do you stand with this? I mean, if we have to replace Hugo Lloris this summer as well, I mean, this is all a massive collision course for going back to complete mid-table obscurity, isn't it?
Should have gone last season. I
Yeah.
think, Coover, you were on the chat. Well, we played at Wolves at home and he made 2 mistakes and he cost us 3 points and we were in and about. And I said after that game, Hugo Lloris will cost us 4th position either this season or next, or something along the lines. And we managed to get it last season. This season, his mistakes can cost us 4th, 6th, Europe, a final. His mistake will cost us this season. And he should have gone last season. It should have gone last season.
Yeah, I agree.
There's so many mistakes. So every keeper makes mistakes, but if we sit here, and we wanted to talk about Lloris highlights, we'd be speaking more about the howlers that he's made. Last minute against Liverpool, Brighton, Wolves, Southampton, free kicks that have gone under him. Many games where he's cocked up rather than a world-class save. When's the last time he made a world-class save? He probably did, and we probably one. But penalty save from Aubameyang in the last minute at White Hart Lane. That's the only thing I can remember where he's gone. Apart from that, it's all howlers. And for me, he's never been. He will go down as one of the greats for Tottenham Hotspur Football Club as a goalkeeper. For longevity, if anything. But just because he's been there so long doesn't mean we lessen our chances of winning something or certainly achieving something with him between the 6. Because personally, he's not good enough, man.
Okay.
Should have gone last season.
Carl, Pete, I'm going to mix up a question for you guys. I'm guessing you feel the same. If you don't, let me know. But give me some names. Realistically now, and lots of people are making comments now about what top players are going to come to Spurs now. So that the longer we sort of sit in this kind of mire of uncertainty, don't know where that sentence, I've never said that sentence before in my life, but the more we're in this kind of uncertain period, A, are we becoming less attractive to any potential players coming in? And B, what goalkeeper should we be looking at realistically that's going to join and is better than Hugo Lloris?
Well, let's be honest. If we had any sort of organisation about us, we'd already have someone already there, ready to step in.
Sure.
That's the problem. And it's now a problem, as well as you said, all the other problems we've still got that we've had for the last 4 years, 5 years on the pitch. So we instead of solving these problems, we're adding to them. So that's part of the problem. And are we going to spend that sort of money on a keeper? No, we're not. I think we missed the boat, really. And unfortunately, it's another shout out. They're not down the road, and them lot picked up Ramsdale for 25 million. Yeah, young English keeper, and look how he's turned out for them. Yeah, he's their keeper for the next 10 years, if not more. Homegrown, ticks all them boxes, and has done. And he come in straight away and then took out Bernd Leno, who's actually a decent keeper. And
Pete, I'm hearing a lot about Brandon Austin. He seems to be a lot in and around the first team, and a lot of people speak highly of him, but surprise, Spurs.
Yeah, but every time we've had
highly of him,
we go and get another keeper in front of him.
Oh yeah, of course. Oh, we need another
He
keeper.
can't be all that, can he? He can't be all that. It's the same as the other one. There's another lad, I can't remember his name, but
Alfie Whiteman looked really good pre-season.
Yeah, it's always the same old. Every time there's a chance to use the academy, I'm not be funny. We should have had one of these academy keepers if they're that good. There's a number 2, and then Hugo. But I'll be honest, I can see us going for something like, well, I don't know, the Bravka's like 33 because he's kicking around, but I don't see where we go.
Well,
Don't be Pickford's going to be the one that they go and get and pick off from Everton. Pickford will be the one that they'll go and get.
But he's error prone as well. He's Harry and Billy. He does all sorts
massively. The one we really missed out on in the summer was Pope. Newcastle went and got him. He was looking, he's a really good goalkeeper.
I think as a shot stopper, I think Pope's one of the best, if not the best, in the division.
Yeah.
But
Costa from Porto, there's another.
We want to play out from the back. He's not good, not great at that at all.
What about Martinez? Martinez
would fit the bill.
Are we a big enough pool for him?
Yeah,
he's a Villa, mate. Come on.
Okay, hang on. But the point is, Villa will spend. Now they've got a manager in there. Villa will spend. They've shown this. And where we've said we've got all these issues and we look like we're going that way, Villa will spend money. sooner or later, I feel we will be level with teams like Leeds and Villa if we do not. Bob, for me, this isn't for years I've said we'll always be up there because of Kane and Son. I've said it for years. For me, those powers are waning. For me, those powers of those two are waning. They're not winning us game. Kane's scoring a few, but those two are not having the games anymore where you think, all right, we've played badly, but Kane or Son will do something. And I think the more those powers dip, the other clubs, like Newcastle have just done, without actually spending loads, I think these other clubs we're starting to see are going to put money in. I honestly don't know if we're attractive to a player like Emi Martinez.
I think
Go and get the Wolves keeper.
Arsenal.
What's the keeper at Wolves? Keeper at Wolves, Sarr. Joseph Sarr?
Yeah, Jose Sarr, class goalkeeper.
Go and get him.
At the end of the day, it's the money thing again, isn't it? If you give them decent wages, they'll come. Otherwise, Newcastle wouldn't have been able to sign anyone.
With Martinez as well, you got the Romero thing.
Yeah, sure.
And not only that, he's ex-Gooner, isn't he? And he's got a bit of shithousery with him. He'd love nothing more than to come to Spurs.
I suppose I'm just asking in general. I mean, lots of people.
I get what you're saying.
It's the forget Emi Martinez. We're sitting here as fans going, we want this player and that player. But we're also acknowledging our own club is in an absolute state.
So, at the beginning of the season, mate, I asked, and everyone agreed. I said Spurs have got a bigger pool than Man United. Beginning of the season, Spurs had a bigger pool than Man United, and everyone agreed. Is it? Are we right now?
No, not now. Not absolutely not now. And this is the thing. You look at what Ten Hag's done at Man United. Yeah, granted, they spent, right? But what they did was in this summer, they've gone out and bought him 4 to 5 players that have walked straight into the 11. Not 4 to 5 that we go, oh, did he want them? Did he? Straight in. Malacia, Martinez, Ericsson, Casemiro, Anthony. All straight into the 11. Already, when you watch them play now, you can see they're trying to play football. They get it down on the ground. They're creating chances, using their width. They will go again in the summer. They will do that again. And they are now a bigger pool because I think, it's hard to tell, but I think they will get top 4. I don't know what you guys think. I think they're massively favourites as opposed to the beginning of the year when, let's be fair, most Spurs fans, when asked who's going to finish top 4, we were like, oh no, Newcastle were years away yet. Man, you need 2-3 years with Ten Hag. Now it's like, oh God, hang on. Hang on, are we the least favourites of all the top 7 to get 4th?
Oh, yeah.
I think Casemiro and Ericsson in that central midfield, man, has been a game changer. Game changing.
To die for, isn't it?
I wanted Ericsson, as you all know, I wanted Ericsson more than any other signing in the summer because he can do that one thing that none of our midfielders can do. Put the foot on the ball, control the game.
I thought he was just going to leave it at pass.
He can pass. But guys, seriously, are we now... Is it us and Chelsea, I suppose, that are now going to be the least favourites to get into that Champions League berth? I guess we're all agreed. I'm asking this. Are we all agreed Man City and Arsenal are kind of shoo-ins for that top 4 this year?
And Newcastle for me.
And see, I think Liverpool will. I think they'll slowly but surely as they are. You watch. They're about 13, 14 points behind us 6 or 7 games ago. Do you remember? And now they're 2 points behind with a game in hand. I think it will be, not in any particular order, Liverpool, Man City and Arsenal, I think, are shoo-ins. Then I think it's between Man United and Newcastle. Can anyone put a fighting chance for us to get it?
31st of Jan's going to answer a few.
We've got no chance whatsoever, as far as I'm concerned.
I think Chelsea
we'll
are
have
not
to have the windows of all windows.
Top 4, are they? Because Chelsea are planning for next season and beyond. So
I agree. They don't need
care
top
this year.
Well. You know, like some of these clubs say, "Oh, we need top 4 for the money."
Yeah.
I was having this chat with someone. Kuva knows what I'm talking about. I was having this chat with someone a few weeks back where I said, "Look at Chelsea buying Nkunku." And I was when I Kuva saying, "I am jealous." I don't mind admitting it. I am so jealous. Right. Yeah. And I was told, oh, yeah, but they just go and chuck money out. They're like Everton. And I said, yeah, but forget this year. If Chelsea finish outside the top 4 this year, their owners are still going to go and spend hundreds of £1 million again, right? Next year, when they've got Badashili, when they've got Fofana fit, when they've got Nkunku coming in, and you know they're going to buy 3 or 4 more in the summer, bigger picture. Can't be said for Spurs. If we miss top 4, that is all the excuse we need to go on another 2 or 3 windows where we don't buy anyone. And that's the difference for me. But can anyone see Chelsea making top 4?
I think it's possible. I think because what we might see is where Potter starts really getting his teeth into the squad and reaps the benefits of all the work he's doing now, they could start picking up towards the end of the season as it all starts coming together, ready for next season. Do you know what I mean?
And not only that, Pete, as well, as a player, you're not going to see the likes of the new players, some majority of the players, if not all of them, next season. But if you're playing for Chelsea and you've seen these players ready to come in next season, you're going to want to be part of that. You're going to think, fuck this, I ain't going anywhere else. You're going to up your game. That's why I think Brian said it. I don't care if we're making big signings and we have to leave them there till the end of the season, then so be it. What it does to the mentality of the fan base and the club, we're going places. So these Chelsea players who are there currently and the fan base, they're happy. They're not going to give it. Well, they will give a shit. But if they finish 5th or 6th this season, they're not going to be too disheartened because I'll tell you what, they've got a few world-class players that are going to be walking into this team next season. So, but personally, I think they will get top 4 because I think the lift that these signings are giving this team, even without them being here, is going to be something that's going to count in the long term. And I think the fan base are a lot happier as well. Comes down to bowling, man. And are you a Spurs fan as well?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. All I know is this: if we don't get top 4 this year, I can't see us being in it for years and years to come.
We've got more of a chance finishing top 4 with Conte than without. And I think with us not having Conte, I believe he's gone, we're not going to get top 4.
Bob, I'll disagree with that. I don't think. Sorry, not that I think more chance without him. I don't think we've got any chance with whoever comes in now.
Or without him.
I think there's just too much going on at the club. You think so? Somebody in the chat today just put Sava, we're 5th, and we're still in the Champions League, and that's great. But I don't look at now. I look at bigger picture. About 3 or 4 weeks ago, we had like a 10-point gap going from us in 3rd or whatever to 5th, 6th, and 7th.
Yeah.
We're now outside the top 4 with a horrendous run of games to come.
On a horrendous run of form.
And in a horrendous run of form.
Isn't it fun? Isn't it funny how it went from how can you be so negative? We're 2nd and still in all the competitions to we're 3rd and we're still in all the competitions to we're 4th. We're still in the Champions League. We did get knocked out of the League Cup, though. We're 5th, but we're still in the Champions League. What's it going to be next month? We're 7th, but we're not in the Champions. Well, yeah, we're in the Champions League, or we're not. Who knows?
You know what our last card is? It's going to be at least we're not as bad as West Ham. That's how low we're probably going to have to go.
Exactly. Always go to the person in last place.
Yeah, but
if you're in 19th out of 20, look at the one behind you. Spig yourself up.
Those same people didn't see what we were saying at the time, is that these performances, when you're looking at them and the trend in how we're playing, it's only going to go one way. No. They look at it where we are now and think everything's great, but then you've got to look at what is going on, the bigger picture. Look at the performances as a whole. Look at everything, the body language of the players, the whole package, and then you can only see it going one way. We said it. And we were mugged off, and then now look where we are. Everything we said has come true. So
it's sad that it has come true, right? It's sad.
At all.
Can I just pick out one comment from the comments at the moment?
You can pick out as many
one by Steve D a little while back. Big up Steve D, by the way. He's good.
Give me a time. Give me a time.
I haven't got the time there. It's about 20 or so comments back.
I'm miles behind that. So yeah, hang on. Steve D.
It's just a simple one anyway. He was just saying Newcastle that thing. That's it. Newcastle ain't going anywhere. Why do you say that, Steve? I wonder. Because not having a go at you, mate.
In which way is he saying that? In which way is he saying it? Is he saying Newcastle ain't going anywhere?
Good point.
They're staying there, or they're not?
Yeah.
Steve D,
Yeah.
sum it up for us. I think, knowing Steve the way I do, I think that's what he's saying. But Carl, let me ask you this then. At the beginning of the season, literally every hang on, I love this guy. This is you know what? Do you know what? It doesn't matter how much I'm right about this club. I get called pessimistic. I don't understand. Dude,
That's so negative of you.
Just look at the thumbnail. It's just a troll.
I mean, I didn't shut Bob down. I just don't think it matters who's manager. We're seeing that at the moment on the pitch. It doesn't matter that Conte's here. There are so many bigger problems at play than who the manager is. Anyway, brilliant. Completely threw me off there what I was about to ask. So Carl, at the beginning of this year, whenever Spurs fans were asked, we done multiple shows, it was Man City definitely getting top four, and Liverpool get top four, and Spurs, we're challenging. We are challenging now. We've got Conte. We're challenging. We're definitely getting top four. But Man, you were in the rearview mirror. Arsenal in the rearview mirror. Newcastle not ready. Chelsea have fallen away as a club. What's happened in 17 Premier League games? What has happened for all of that to be so terribly wrong? How has that happened?
A style squad that, again, just hasn't had the quality injected into it that it needed to be injected into it. It's sticking with players like Dyer and Davies, who, you can't fault them for their loyalty and the effort they put in, week out, but ultimately they don't have the quality that pushes you further than where the club has been. And that ultimately comes and costs you. It's Son hasn't hit the ground running this season. Teams have found him out. Just don't play a high line and let him run in behind you. And outside of that, he can't then hurt you. And this is a team that doesn't have the quality. Whilst the others have all improved. It's the same old problem that happens with Tottenham year in, year out. Others take 2 steps forward while Tottenham stand still. And ultimately in football, if you're not building and progressing each season, then you're going backwards ultimately. And it's what we're finding out. You can have one of the best managers, but if you don't give him the tools that he needs to do the job, others, if you're standing still, others are always working, and ultimately you'll find yourself well behind them. Newcastle are ahead of where they thought they would be. So they will now spend, because they're sitting there thinking, we've actually got a chance here. Top 4. We didn't think so this season, but we've now got a chance. January's coming. We'll spend. We'll go and buy some players because we've now ahead of schedule. And again, that's another team that we now go, well, there's another team that have just jumped ahead of us in the pecking order because we won't match them. And ultimately, it's a mix of all those things, isn't it? But it just comes down to a club that are prioritising profit over quality on the pitch.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, guys, listen, I want to one last question. And then I'm going to wrap the show up. And what I will say is, for everyone who's still in the chat, please, after this, go over to Henry's channel, Henry Wright TV. Watch the Spurs Corner with Henry, Stell, Brian Daigle, and Will. They've got a good following in there at the moment, so please go and support them. Guys, listen, my mate Spursy ideology, he doesn't think I say anything positive. But fair enough, I don't, because I don't believe there is anything. Can someone give me some positives then? What should I right now as a Spurs fan? What should I be positive about? I need someone to inject it into me. What am I looking forward to as a Spurs fan right now?
We got some NFL games.
You what? Sorry, say that again, Bob.
We've got some NFL games coming up and some concerts, no doubt.
Right.
You're free
Aurier getting the equaliser. Aurier getting the equaliser was good. Against Chelsea. Yeah.
Well, you're 10% off in the club shop email coming tomorrow.
Eventually, we will be the club that scores first.
Yeah, maybe 10 in a row. Do you know what, guys? And as I always say, and I get in trouble for this, but when I say that some fans have the club they deserve, that guy right there, I don't care if he unsubscribes or whatever, that guy is who I talk about. When you look at what's going on at this club and people then still turn around to the people that called it correctly and say, you're so pessimistic, that is why we will never get rid of these owners, guys, because we are fans that don't see it. Sorry to call that one guy out, but they don't see it, guys. Like you said earlier, Pete.
This is just it. What are we after as generally on this panel here? We want to see some good football. We want to see our club winning trophies. So when we don't see that, I mean, some people might put up with the football not being so great. I'm sure Bob will tolerate it more than I will, as long as we see some trophies or something on the horizon. But at the end of the day, if we are not getting what we think we should be from the club, why would you be positive about it? If the waiter's got his thumb in your soup, you complain about it. If you say nothing, he'll have the thumb in the soup next time. What's
worse yet, make it even simpler. He called us all this thing. Tell us where we're wrong.
Yeah,
explain where we got it wrong.
No, look, he's gone now. But this is what I always say to people. Okay, guys, I'm pessimistic. Cool. All right. So come back at me. Tell me. Give me 3 or 4 things. Give me 3 or 4 things that I should say. Actually, you know what? Yeah, I'm an idiot. Yeah, I'm positive about this. I'm watching my team that can't win games of football. We can sing first every game. We're slipping down the table and the gap we had to the other clubs has gone. The manager doesn't want to be here. The director of football's going to jail, possibly. We've been told we've got a transfer war chest of 30 million.
I'm looking forward to that.
What?
War chest?
War chest? I don't know. Listen, guys.
Kiddy's lunchbox, maybe.
Listen,
it's always kiddies with you, isn't it?
That's what I invest in. It's young and affordable.
Listen, on a serious note, guys, I don't want to eat into Henry's time. Listen, thank you so much for everyone that's come on. Listen, for the 335 people still watching, please head over to Henry's channel, show some support and love to the Spurs YouTube family. Carl, thank you so much. Thanks for coming on. Always welcome, my friend.
Pleasure, mate.
Thank you. Pete, as always, big up.
Yeah, well, mate.
Thank you. Kuva, nice hair. Cut.
Big up, mate.
Thank you. And Bob, it's just a pleasure to always see your little face, always, anywhere I go. Guys and girls, thank you very much. Brian Daigle's not here, so I will take the mantle and say, as always, Enoch and Levy,